Today I'm going to show you a simple 4-step process to create the perfect landscape painting palette using acrylic paints. Instead of us trying to guess the correct color or grab a pre-mixed tube, we are going to create intentionally complex colors. And this is how we get those lovely greens, browns, and earth tones. So let's get started. Before we get mixing, we have to talk about the process. Step 1 is to mix a pure hue. Step 2, we're then going to shift its saturation, and I promise I'll explain exactly how. Step 3 is we are going to check the temperature, whether it needs to be warmer or cooler or stay the same. And last but not least, we are going to adjust the value, making it either lighter or darker. First up is green. Let's go. I'm going to start with more yellow than I am going to start with blue, just because the blue is a lot stronger than the yellow is. And I'm just going to start slowly mixing it together until I get a green color. So our first step is our pure hue. Now we need to desaturate using complementary color mixing. Complements are just opposites on the color wheel, and if you want to learn more about complementary color mixing, go ahead and check out my other video that goes into more detail on how this all works. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take from actually a different palette. I'm going to take a little bit of red and I'm going to start to desaturate my green. What we're going to see is it's going to start to go what I think of as muddy or dirty, but I also think of this as more natural green. You can already see that's a pretty good earthy green. Don't know if I want to go. You can go more red if you want it to go closer to the brown scale, but I think I like that level of desaturation. So I'm going to add that to our little chart. Which you can already see is a lot more natural than the green we had up above. Now we need to do temperature. Now temperature just means that we're either wanting it to be warmer or cooler. I'm going to start by warming it up and then I'm going to cool it down so we can see the difference. So if you're warming something up, typically that's because light is hitting it and it is going to be a little warmer. Think highlights, think tree branches catching the sun, rocks, mountain faces. And to do this, all we're going to do is use yellow to warm it up. You can use red, but like I said, it will go brown. And this is kind of where we get that sap green color. And vice versa, if I wanted to cool this green down, I'm going to add a little bit more of my blue back in, and it's going to turn it into a cooler color. These are typically better for shadows, areas that are in shade, which I guess is really what a shadow is. And that gives us 2 different color temperatures. So now we're already up to 3 different colors just from our green that we mixed first. So here's our light color, and here is our cool color. And last but certainly not least is now we can change the value. Now these are already pretty dark, and if you've watched my video on how to mix blacks, you know that I can get this even darker, but often what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to lighten things up once we've mixed it like this. And so what we are going to do is you can just add a little bit of white to the colors to start bringing the value up. So maybe this wasn't quite as bright of a highlight as I was interested in having, so I'm going to take a little bit of white to it, which is going to lighten this up. Or maybe I have a very cool area that's also a little bit more alight, and I'm going to take a little bit of white and lighten this up. So again, this is where we can play with value to shift whatever color we need. This is good for like ivy, leafy greens, things like that. So here is a good example of our lights. So already we have a whole bunch of different greens we can play from, which is fantastic because it means that I can shift this and I can keep going back through my list. Maybe this green is too strong, so instead of continuing on, I can desaturate it more, and then if it's the perfect temperature, then all I have to do is leave it the way it is, but maybe it needs to be lighter, then I can change the value, or vice versa. Maybe this is perfect, but the temperature is not quite right, but I don't need to change the value. So you can come back and repeat these steps as many times as necessary to get the color that you're looking for. Just remember that in terms of temperature, yellow and red is going to warm it up, and blue is going to cool it down. But now we got to talk about earth tones. Now, earth tones are just from our lovely color orange, and orange is just made from red and yellow, which I already have some on another palette. So that is our orange color. Got a little bit of green in there, that's okay. So we have our orange color here. And now what we can do is we're going to desaturate it. To desaturate our orange, we're going to use its opposite, which is blue, which is why I wasn't too worried about it changing colors on me. When we desaturate with blue, we want to use a very little amount because it can go fast to a different color. So I'm going to use blue. It's going to start to desaturate, and what we're looking for is brown. I like to think of these as kind of the ugly colors. They make beautiful earth tones and they look great on the canvas, but they are relatively more interesting. So here is one of your possible desaturations. I'm going to go ahead and do another one with a little bit more blue in it, so you can see how far we can get this to go. And like I said before, if it starts to go green, maybe I want this to be more brown, I can add a little bit of red back into it. The yellow and blue like to play off of each other a lot more than the red and blue does, which is why sometimes we have to add the red back in. And that's just the reds and blues I use. Your tubes might be slightly different depending on which color blue and which color red you have. But there we go. We have orange, mucky orange, and kind of brown. And from here, we can play with temperature even. So let me put this on our page, and then we'll shift things around. And now we have to go to our third step, which is to change the temperature. Now, like I said before, to change the temperature, we'll start with this one. What we're going for is, if we want it cooler, we are going to add a little bit more blue to it. Which can start to go onto the green side, which is totally fine. If I don't want it to be as green as it's getting, I can always add a little bit, like I said, of that red back in. And doing this a lot. This is where you get a lovely rust color. And you'll notice when we cool down colors, they get darker. So here's a nice kind of brown color we have. And vice versa, if I wanted to warm something up, I would just add red to it to get it to warm up some. I'll add a little bit of this guy in. There we go. Which makes it go sometimes more to the orange family. Or contrary, I can also use yellow. We'll use some of these bits down here. To make, we'll add some orange back in, to make another whole set of colors. Again, highlights. We have so many different options here. This is adding yellow, this is adding red, and this is adding blue. So lots of different ways to change the temperature. I think that's what we do most of the time in art. I don't think we do too much of anything else but changing the temperature. And now, to really make the earth tone shine, we're going to add some white to change the temperature. I'm going to start with my yellow one, and we're going to make this super light. And then we'll do our next one. And last but certainly not least is our other brown color. And just like that, we've changed the values. I'm gonna move this out of the way. And like I said, you can desaturate these more, get them more brown, or you can get them more green, which means that we can start mixing our color palette to be whatever color we want, just by following these steps of making a pure hue, either orange or green. Then we're going to desaturate it with a complement. So that's red, and this is blue. And then we're going to change the temperature by either adding yellow, red, or blue to it. And then we can change the value by adding white to it. If we want a dark color, again, we can just continue to desaturate and add in some cool colors. But this is how this works. So instead of relying on that stubborn tube of green paint, we can start by creating a pure hue. Then we can lower its saturation by using its complementary color. After that, we can shift its temperature to either be warmer or cooler. And last but certainly not least, we can adjust the value of the color. Now, just like we mixed our own darks instead of using black in my last video, we can mix our own natural color palette to create a more cohesive landscape. This also gives you the freedom to make the exact color you're looking for instead of relying on pre-mixed tubes. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But if you'd like some more structured acrylic tips and tricks, feel free to download my free acrylic guide in the description. Happy painting, and I'll see you next time.